also will take a certain amount of space and cost and revenue. So we need to have you understand where is this coming from. Are you breaking this camera today?
It just dinged. No big deal. It's just still moving.
Don't overthink it, Ryan.
I've just never seen one of these.
Fine.
That's all.
Are you calling it ancient technology?
Totally is.
Sony photos. What is this?
It's okay.
It's nice.
You serious?
Okay. Fun fact. It's not too late right now to humor help. So like 7 innings stage. Who is old enough to remember VHS cassettes?
How
about Betamax?
No.
Betamax never really floated. Who is old enough to remember a cassette tape in your car?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Who born in their lifetime before 2000? Who bought vinyl LPs and music on black discs before 2000? I say before 2000 because after 2000 all the electronic music revamped the spins. Alright, fine.
If I was there, does it count?
Alright, so if I say Philips turntable and I'm really happy about it, only like 2 people will understand the quality of that design back then. Alright, that's going to be fun. Just saying. So, speaking, you're breaking up right now. Speaking of fun, so terms of an older book, terms of different generations, and we're talking about planning for generations. We're talking about vision statements. We deal with comprehensive plans and not about let's do things tomorrow. They're about what are the things we will do in the next 15, 20 years. Different time horizons. So, fun fact. You all heard about a mixed tape, did you?
Yeah.
Like back in high school, you cut all day long illegal copies from the radio or from friends, and you ended up with a 60-minute tape, and you maybe gave it to your high school sweetheart, or you got one, or you just burned it because it was bad music. Yeah? If you still have them, they're hilarious because you don't want to be associated with that kind of music. That's music with big hair and all that stuff. Everyone who laughed about that camera right now, how are you going to do a mixed tape for your sweetheart in the times of Spotify and iTunes? Think about it.
SoundCloud.
You build a playlist on SoundCloud. It's very romantic. Here's my email link for my SoundCloud.
Right.
It's all about the presentation. So
If you're really trying to wow, you could always pay for a prepaid card membership for 3 months.
I'm so old school. I'm actually taking pride in having actually CDs, at least in the moving books. Yeah, so, alright. And I keep saying, remember the old black vinyl LPs? They sound just better. Alright, focus. With all that, we gotta have more fun later. The UP gives you the idea of okay, where you at, what are you doing. Lynch gives you the idea of what is this all about. I will fill in the gaps. Some of the gaps will be done with Mr. Clayman and with the Fields guys. So Clayman Unit 24, I put that up as a PDF. It's coming from the formerly chosen land use planning law book we had here in the program. You do not have to buy it. The PDF on Canvas is good enough. Yeah? Completely legal as in terms of fair use and all that. It gives you the basic ideas of land use planning. It gives you chapter number 23 is mixing this up. One is land use planning, the other one is housing. Because we are going to talk a little bit about housing. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about socially inclusive housing at some point of time. Yeah? And I try to provoke here and there some ideas. Bless you. And I try to hope that we will have good conversations, critical conversations about topics that are not as clean as we want to be. Housing is one of them. Yeah? I had students yell at each other when we started doing housing discussion, which was unprofessional, but there was a lot of heat involved in those two characters. Particularly, one member of the community basically said, "You're living only in this neighborhood because it's gentrifying, because you bought condominium rehab cheap there." And boom, let's talk about gentrification in West Palm Beach. Yes, it is actually. We can find places like that. So this class has the opportunity to open up for this discussion. Not needed necessarily, but we can do that. Because where else would you start a conversation about gentrification and social housing issues? In a land plan-based class. Yeah? So doesn't mean that I put it on the spot. I really like the idea to talk about the turtles, because that's a local issue. But we'll see. Same thing here, CK Fields is a different example. As you can see, I have a date, I have somewhat the main topic, which fits into the idea of the Lynch chapters. Yes, September 1st is the Labor Day weekend. Yes, we're going to meet here, we're having class. You can go boating and camping and fishing the next day. Or go on a night dive after the class. Huh? 8 weeks, full power. And I'm not kidding. Okay, I have a moment where I take off and say, okay, I need a break here and there. But I put tremendous energy in studio-based classes. Because I end up today with 5, 6, we need to change some, 5 different teams. I pick. No self-selection. No self-selection. I can do a randomized list with 25 only present. That's fine. I spent an hour thinking about this yesterday. It's a long time for simple randomizing a list and abandoning this, and I will modify it. There has been great experience with randomly picked teams. There has been great experience with designated teams. There have been some disasters here and there with students self-pick. For me, it's the easiest way. I can say, hey, Woody, take 3 team members, 4 additional members. He walks around, he knows a few people, he might not know all of you guys, and picks them. Winning team. Low in friction, high in output. Learning experience, yeah, great, not so. Huh? Or let's say Adriana and Adriana. First day. Exposure last week, 2.5 or 3 hours on a field trip. She might know 4 people by name right now. Woody's easy to remember. He's the habitat guy. Great guy to work with on a volunteer group. Yeah? Anything else you don't know? So if you would wander around in this room right now and pick someone, you take the 2 people to the left and to the right because you feel comfortable with them. You might want to consider someone who has a little bit finance background before that. Wait. Where are you? Yeah, I got that. Sorry, you're in Woody's team. But this is the reason why I select groups this time.
One second. We were the winning team on the last one.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa. We were.
There are people who were great and people that were great. And some people had different understandings. And we're not going to get in that because we are in a predefined gameplay, role-play setup. So that wiggle room margin is pretty much 0. Sorry, Woody. She took advantage of a little bit wiggly. It's great projects, great time to work with them. The best benefit as an educator and instructor, and I teach under the idea, educate, entertain, and inspire. The best teaching days for me right now, if I teach 2 classes back to back, is coming home at 5:30, open the fridge, see what else is left over there, and just crash on the couch for a few hours.
Me too.
Because then I can say my teaching day was accomplished and you learned something. If I'm really fit and leave and I'm not exhausted, aka hangry, I'm not doing my job the right way. So educate, entertain, inspire. Really entertaining today. Well, because we haven't talked about grades yet. And I hope you take the inspiration away with you for your next assignment, for your next meeting with classmates, to be able to make arrangements in your busy schedules, that you meet for team project here and there, that you have conversations. You don't have to have full team meetings all the time, but you need to communicate with your folks. I did not know that you're commuting from Daytona all the time. Dayton is in Ohio. You gotta communicate with your team. There's so much technology around. You can do that. If international managers can run businesses across continents, you will be able to do this class successfully with great benefits to your education and to your fun. It's all about fun. Education is about fun. I guess so. All right. Assignments. We're doing individual stuff and we're doing team-based. And I can see already this is team-based push, because you're going, at the end of this class, you're going to write professional peer evaluation for all your teammates. Not just, oh, did great, B+, did not so great, B-. Now, a short paragraph, what went great, what went bad with this teammate. Like you would be in a supervising position and would give your intern or your employee a reference. Because I'm going to take all those proposed grade numbers, let's say, hey, was great. It's an okay A, 95. I take these numbers as inspiration for that team-based evaluation grade. If I have A, F, and you don't tell me why this person deserves that F, I have a problem to justify that massive drop. I had one student about a year, 2 years ago who tried really hard, communicated really hard, and the team kind of dissed him. This is not about Judgment Day. This is about a fair assessment of 8 weeks communication and work together. The peer review is due after the final presentations in the class. So you're leaving here on a Saturday afternoon, a little bit earlier than 4 probably. You're leaving and you have like 24 hours or something like this to write short reviews about yourself and your teammates. Oh, I deserve an A because I'm awesome is not going to be a professional review for yourself. And you will be surprised, in the past years I have done this, I had very humble reviews from and about students and themselves. I had a student, he was so humble about himself, it almost hurt to see his own words about him. Because he put himself here, but was here as a person and character. So this is serious stuff. Think about this as a professional evaluation of yourself and of some of your teammates. Internship or employee. Because what we all want to do, we all want to be a CEO of a company at some time, vice president of acquisitions or sometime, something else. We are going to have peers and we have subordinates. We're going to deal with those sublinks in a good way. Bad comment from the political world, sublinks, underlinks. You can see that the panic attack on the reverse design and the site plan sketch is just 10%. You sit down, you think the concept through, you write about your concept, and you colorize the environment for the concept, because you're 10% of your final grade. So don't underestimate that few, probably 2 or 3 hours, you sit down and do that. It's fun. You can do that on a Sunday afternoon when it rains outside. Cup of coffee, or evening glass of wine, depending on what's your flavor, and do that. Yeah? but do it. You will not be happy with this if you do it on a Friday evening at 6 o'clock with an 8 p.m. deadline. It's rushing. This is about vision, this is about planning, this is about the idea I need to be available for time frames beyond 6 weeks. You also can say, as a real estate developer, what's your business plan as in leaving a legacy after the first 5 to 10, 15 years of your work? We don't know where you're at in 15 years, yeah? But what do you want to be in 5? I gave that talk recently to a dear friend of mine. MBA in accounting, MS in accounting. Also a fantastic person that dives. Yeah? So we actually met through diving industry. Great challenge. What do you want to do in the next 5 years? Person who just turned 24 has no idea right now really what you want to be in 5 years. Yes, even younger people. Yeah? Folks who just passed yesterday, maybe 30 or 35, maybe 39. Yeah? Just kidding. Oh, 39 like Woody. Yeah? There are different stages in your life right now. Some of you are here in the classroom to learn how to change the track of their current paths. I had folks that have worked for Chewy.com as a contractor, salesperson-ish, or contract managing salesperson for dog and animal food. Because it paid the bills. It was really hard to find her an internship in the real estate industry because of the need of paying the bills. So I understand where you guys are coming from. I had my fair share of ramen noodles. I also know how to perfectionize ramen noodles with a little bit ginger and other stuff. But the idea here is, this is not necessarily just about a text section in a textbook. This is not about page number 10, 12. This is about the kind of way of how planners think when they approach projects. And usually the way we learn how the planners do think is because they say, nay, we're not going to approve that application for you. You're not going to get the rezoning application done with us, or we disapprove of your site plan because you didn't think like a planner, you didn't communicate. Best work you can do and learn is in small towns. Because you walk in as a planning director who happens to be on the same football team of your kids if needed. You meet them at the barbecue at the fire station. There's a communication and networking level different from, oh, I'm just walking in with a nice suit, I'm the engineer and dropping off a few thousand pieces of paper and hope I get my planning application done, building permit or something. When you talk to real estate developers, they will tell you one thing. Those planners with their zoning regulations and barriers. You're not going to get this project done in 6 weeks because they want 6 month review time. The other side, the real estate guy, the planning guy is like, yeah, dark side. All those real estate developers. Been there, done that, heard both arguments. At the end of the day, you just want to sit down in a coffee shop and have a conversation about this project. How the new little shopping center south of the town is changing the whole state and its travel patterns. Because suddenly you have a mini destination between Philadelphia and Rehoboth Beach, because that's the place to get waffles and other food. And you went through weeks and weeks and weeks of changing policy on signing ordinances, zoning, building codes, etc., just to make things happen. In a big city, you can't really do that. It's not almost shake hand stuff, but it's communication level. I refer a lot of my background in my classes from personal experiences and trips, so you'll see a lot of pictures, a lot of stories. to shut down, let's say like this, to shut down old movie theater. When I was working as a city planner and GS guy, the shut down little movie theater now is completely rehabbed and has the gin distillery company in the state of Delaware. Old grad school friend of mine is running it with his business partner who's married to another grad school friend. They met at a barbecue and found out they like distilling alcohol. So, one thing, being South German and a foodie, here and there might be food references and or joke about beer, or that red wine comment earlier. I do not want to offend anyone in this room about a reference to an alcoholic beverage, okay? Just want to make sure. If I do offend you with it, please let me know. I cut back on those jokes. Part of the fun stuff. All right, speaking of fun, reverse design, side plan sketch, small detailed assignments. You're going to draw things, delivering your ideas in your head on paper. There's a different way of thinking when you draw things by hand. The reason why I insist on drawing this on hand again is we have this expression about napkin solutions. Take out a piece of paper, start sketching ideas. 100 apartment units, base price, square footage. Everyone was talking about that. Back on the envelope part. Yeah? Yeah, with some years of experience, you're going to do this. How are you going to make a design on a footprint on a building? If you never drew on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper just the idea of an L-shaped layout, how are you going to evolve from that? You got to start somewhere and doing it. Okay, all the architects and all the designers are like, yeah, we have books for that and sketching. I don't demand perspective sketching of the hallway like you do in Design 101 for 3 weeks in 5 different colors and 5 different angles. No, but some idea of, I have the site, there's a certain environment, I have some retail data about the environment, I know how many hotels, how many retail shops are there, maybe some leakage data to go really fancy. Yeah, Best Buy might not be the best idea because there's one down the street. So that big black box I want to draw here or maybe here because of traffic flow, you got to do that. There have been some really cool things done with, let's say, the side plan sketch. There are different ways to do that. I had one student who did perchin paper, multiple layers. Like taking this, cutting the real world in different layers, like in GIS, in a different way. Circulation, buildings. That's just a little bit overkill. But it was fun to see how. I have all the old copies, scanned copies. So we will have that as part of a critique round. Because if you submit reverse design, the reason why you submit Friday evening at 8 electronically, like take a picture with your phone, mail that picture, you're really good in time, scan it, higher quality. Yeah. So I'm going to put this on the PowerPoint. And with a big class like this, maybe 10 randomly selected, like talk about your ideas. Because you're going to see that there are different patterns, different ideas because of people's inspiration from the outside of the classroom. All right. Same thing with side plan sketch. We're doing something, no, we actually do that here all the time. September 22nd is going to be the panic day in both classes. I give the GIS midterm in the morning. We talk about that in the afternoon. 12:35 probably when everyone is finally here. We pop a piece of paper open and we're going to write a midterm exam. Because there's enough theory, enough material covered to write about Lynch, to write about lectures, to write about a little bit law stuff we have. Yeah.
I thought you said it was going to be on the same day.
Did I?
Yes, earlier you did, but I think you
You said well, you're going to have one in the morning and then you can relax because you're going to have a speaker or something.
Yeah, at 3 o'clock we gotta go. We're planning on Kona Gray.
Yeah.
And you have like an hour or 2 hours of GIS fun in between before lunch. You will be fine. So this is the advantage of having back-to-back classes with the same professor, different classes, but with the same professor in those 8 weeks.
But it's you.
I am in perfect control of on your stress level and workload for the assignments. I'm perfect understanding, beyond perfect understanding, on your time limitations for that day. So you really think, you know me a little bit better since you had a few classes with me, you really think I'm going to write the most killer, brutal exam and then be the most badass grader on that exam. No, but I have certain standards where I say you need to know that. So it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be a paper-based, handwritten exam. Because I demand you guys to sketch verbally and physically. Well, what? Multiple choice? Get out of here. Multiple choice. You're not going to buy coloring pens if you do want to do multiple choice. All right. Find the side. There's some team-based work where you actually have to write following the instructions, most of the instructions of the handbook. Yeah. Group work is important here to point that out. Grading is out there, policies, be nice, behave. Oh yeah, this is a cheating club. Didn't do that this morning in GS. I've been, for the GS people, let's wrap this up too. I've been long enough in the industry to understand and see, based on the data you submit to me, if you have done the work yourself or not. I'm one of those guys with the 0 and 1s like in the Matrix. I got 2 US degrees paid for my abilities in that field. So, not kidding. I can open that up and make sure it's yours or not. So don't stress that. Plagiarism is a very, very difficult piece because it's heartbreaking to find out that someone plagiarized and cheated. Because all the positive energy to educate and yes, put stress level on you guys for learning fails that moment I see you copy and pasted material over. Not necessarily in this class, but you know there's always some margin. If you are feeling that you're with your back to the wall and you're in a mode of anxiety and all that, drop me a line, communicate. The last thing is to assign to you an F because your personal life is derailing you. Copy and paste. I have no chance to deal with this. It's going to be F, and then go through everything you submitted and render the whole class F if needed. Or, if you look at that, midterm, well, it's a closed book, closed notes, write only on piece of paper. If you think you have to have your phone on your lap, I don't care. This is the official warning. No instruments, no helping. And I'm dead serious. No sense of humor when it comes to plagiarism and cheating. Zero tolerance. And the reason why I keep saying this in every class, and you're at the end pretty much of your class, again, I hear it again. Zero. We have a student today, couldn't come. Left a voicemail on the phone, like Thursday night. Emergency, cannot come. Sounds good to me. We'll catch up with that student later. It's perfect okay with me. Yeah? If there would be a deadline involved now for an assignment, I would say, okay, where's your assignment? It might not be in this class necessarily, but in other classes. If the deadline comes and you go in panic mode, submit, give me what you have. You get partial credits for the submissions, GS assignment. You get partial credit for the stuff you have done. Out of 100 points, I will carry the 55 if you submit work that is 55 points. In a single event, let's fail, but over the whole long haul of hard work, it's 55 points that add up to the other stuff. Or ratio-wise add up. I see folks nodding. You get benefits on your progress and hard work. plagiarism, copy and pasting, and the simple idea of take someone else's work, found on a web page. The 2 minutes that you take time, don't do it with Wikipedia, please, but let's say the 2 minutes you take time to take the City of Sunrise community profile from the web page, paraphrase it, maybe have one sentence copy and paste in quotes with an URL in the back, or quote, City of Sunrise 2018, and then the reference list is the proper style reference for a web page. That's a word-by-word citation here. This is not copy and paste. Even if you take the full sentence, take it, plug it in quotes, and reference where this line of thought is coming from, you're fine. I had one student who drove me nuts with this, who actually literally took Wikipedia, paragraph from Wikipedia, and quoted Wikipedia the right way. With APA 5th style, even like Wikipedia, title of the page, accessed on full date and time and the URL. So it literally went in the reference list on the bottom of the document, clicked on it, and said, oh, perfect. Put all the copy and paste in quotes, still a large paragraph. It's borderline driving me nuts because it's not, you shouldn't use Wikipedia. If you go there, go to the original source, do the extra work, find that book, yeah? But the process was a proper citation. That's the fine line of, or fine eyes of walking that. Same thing, some reference styles here, Miller 2000. Sometimes it's good enough to just say Miller 2000, but if this is 400 books, if you say lunch, at the same time, most institutions of this kind have symbolic importance and put strong emphasis on visual settings. I would appreciate if you quote this word by word in quotation sign marks, that you present page number 170 in Lynch, 1996, 92. Yeah? And do that. Because not all famous quotes are known. Yeah? I have a tween. I don't need to tell you who did that, who said that. Even if you did not get a high school education on this continent, you will know, or should know, who said that sentence. Yeah? Others, we gotta change that. Read this. This is a mistake that can be avoided. And I'm happy to work with you guys. Language barrier is not a reason to do so. Timing issues and practice is. If a professor, second and third language, needs to tell you your language and your grammar is mediocre, I refuse to read more than a page of your work, you need to learn how to write better. We have a fantastic writing center in the second floor in the library. Ryan, please send out more info about that. You can go in there with your assignments, they practice there, they review that for you, they copy edit. You're doing a team-based project. You submit as people of 5, 1 report. Each section of this should have one author, 1 or 2 people copy editing. Because your English skills vary from high school and continent. My English is not perfect. I'm way more relaxed 7, 8 hours in teaching my grammar, particularly prepositions in between. Yeah? But if I take time to review your work, I'm fresh, I have a cup of coffee, play classical music, and read this stuff. On paper if needed with a red pen, because that's a different type of reading. So every school assignment you guys are doing, print it out, have boyfriend, roommate, spouse, friends, read it. Girlfriend, to include that. Huh? Have them read that. It's completely okay with me if you do not have any of those categories before. Ask a classmate and say, hey, Angelo, I have this assignment. I have this 2-page write-up for assignment 2 for this site plan sketch. Can you read this for me? Don't ask him on a Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Ask him on Tuesday. Make this arrangement. Hey, can I give this to you on Wednesday evening? Can you spend 20 minutes in reading it and copy edit it for me? Fine with me. When in doubt, do this via email. So I can say, oh, this reads like an Angelo. And you can say, yeah, he copy edited my work. He went through and made sure the punctuation and grammar is okay. Completely legit. Do not share your jump drives in a GS class. I had that once before. Assignments on the same jump drive got mixed up. And suddenly I had student A as an author of student B's Word document. Not funny. Not because I sent both of them an email and student B completely freaked out because he didn't do anything wrong. Just borrowing a jump drive to maintain data integrity. All right, speaking of all that, you can read all of this later. Writing center is actually noted here. Gesundheit. This is the book I provide copies. You do not need to have this book. This is the one you need. First 2 chapters are online as well for you. Come on. How's everyone doing? Since it's open, let's talk about assignment. So we close that chapter on pencils. I call this the reverse design assignment. And the reason why it's reverse design is because there are certain elements given to you you have no control over. That's a horrific motivational moment. There are elements you have no control over and you need to deal with that. It's just assignment. It's not the way I write usually assignments is I give you kind of the theme. Why is this going? Why is this important? Creative thinking and systematic approaches. You might want to consider a draft, or some drafting ideas before you go in the real shot, just to avoid the idea of I have to white out. I really don't like the idea of computers. In this case, this comes from the GS guy. And you should use all of the available space. Yeah? How does this look like? So, well, on the second page, perfectly to print out.
Professor, is this on Canvas already, or?
Yep.
Oh,
Should be.
well, maybe.
If not, it's going to be tonight after I finish that half-an-hour nap on the couch. All right. So, what I like about this reverse design, yeah, this is a city. You have no idea what you're looking at right now. You have to investigate and think this through. What are you looking at? What are the features? What's the environment? What are the settings? You also make a decision because you have to draft a vision, like your ideal city. You have to draft a vision statement justification. Yeah? Because you design functional areas and state in a short vision as well as a statement of justification on why and how you've chosen the presented functions and spatial alignments. Let's make an example on a land use which might be a little bit absurd in some setting like this. If you put on this industrial warehousing as a land use and you color it, maybe that's gray, you would need to write a justification why you identify this as industrial housing, warehousing. Huh? If I think this is actually an electric substation for a nuclear power plant, I'm slightly mistaken about the real world, but I could make this justification to make this extreme. That means you can think outside of the box. Not everything on this needs to stay. There's enough hint. Okay? It's a real world example. We're actually taking a look at the original real world as part of the assignment discussion next week. It's about a week, Friday next week, due date. But it's a nice letter size piece. The reason why I said you can't use those finger thick crayons from your 6-year-old niece, Cruz, is we got to scribble a little bit in. Yeah? And I know that there's, fill this out to get really 100% accredited on this work, because if you don't, there are a bunch of students that will do 100% coloring on this. And I try to be fair, have to be fair on all the time spent. This assignment in the past took students with a draft between 90 minutes and 8 hours. But the 8-hour person kind of did like 5 new attempts. So think this through, look at this. Even with day number 1 in school, you can look at patterns. I had buildings identified on this plan and reconstructed in the idea of I want to assign this kind of use to it based on students traveling internationally. Like, oh, I've seen this in Barcelona. Yeah, that's the reason why I put this kind of designation to it. It's a creative assignment. There's no right or wrong. There's only do it well or do it shitty. That's a French term for not really great grade.
French about that.
That man? Huh? Fine. You speak French? Yeah, you speak. Yeah, you Lucerne, the wrong corner of Switzerland. Actually beautiful. Have you ever been to Switzerland? Lucerne, as we say in German, is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Right next on the level of Bern or Bern. Bern is good too. Besides, the whole country is great, but I can't say that because I used to live a little bit north of that. All right, done this. Andrew, planning. Everyone doing okay? Let's see if this works. I did not check the roll. Do you hear? All right, let's do a 2-minute break for bathroom running, and I check my audio. So we can do this in one piece.